All right, so we've already done a crappie jig, and we're going to do another one. It's pretty similar, except this time we're going to use some hackle up here to create kind of a collar. We just got some marabou in the back here, a little flash, just some holographic tinsel. You can really use whatever kind of flash, no flash, I mean, whatever you want to do. Change the colors all up. That's pretty cool. I think this guy is like a 3/32, I believe, crappie jig. So you could totally toss this on a fly rod. You know, I'd definitely go 5 weight, maybe 6 weight, just to help with the weight. So anyway, let's kind of get started here. So what I have here is that same exact hook. And if you watch the other crappie jig video, a lot of these little crappie jigs come with a little lip that's right there. And then what I'll do is I'll take these pliers and kind of smash that down. Those lips are designed for soft plastic baits to help keep that bait from slipping off the back, but we're not going to be doing that. So thread I'm going to be using is just some 140 white UTC. And I'm going to start this thread right behind this lead base. This is your lead base, your lead weight. And right behind there, I'm just going to kind of build up a little ramp on this one. And I'll trim that out. All right. And I'm going to kind of just continue to keep working that there a little bit. Just kind of like so. Similar to the last one with the flash, this is going to be holographic tinsel, I think, like I said before, but this time I'm going to add it on the inside of the fly. So what I want to do is just kind of line that up, and you want to leave a little bit out front so we can fold this over. I'm going to do 2 loose wraps over, and then pull down tight, and then add 1 tight wrap. Now I'm going to create a loop out of this, and make them long, and then you can cut it to size depending on the size of your marabou. The big thing here is that this is even. Excuse me. That this is even, and there's no kink. You don't want it twisted so that it does this. You want it to be similar to like a racetrack, I suppose you could say. I'm going to pinch that on the side. I'm going to do the same thing. 1 loose wrap over. 2 loose wraps over, and I know it gets in your way. Tighten straight down. And now you can kind of place both of them right where you want them and tightly wrap them in. I like to do it along the hook shank, or even with the hook shank. Now I can come in and just trim that off. I'm going to fold the one side back and make a couple of wraps. That kind of creates that wedge that I talk about in a lot of videos when it comes to flash. You want to create that wedge so that it can't slip out. And I'll come in and just trim that. Now I'm going to do it with the other side. I'm going to fold it over and back. 1, 2, pull down. Whoop, slid way down. That's all right. That's no big deal on these guys. These aren't fancy and flashy. They're crappie jigs. They're meant to get beat up very quickly. Now I'm going to wrap this up all the way up onto this lead base, keeping this ramp kind of going. Just kind of get some thread base in there. Next, what you want to do is get 2 plumes of marabou. This is going to be tied in the same way as the other one. I like to kind of get these straight tips like so, except this time, being a smaller jig, I want to come way down about halfway into my marabou, there you go, plume. And I'm going to pull all this out so it just doesn't get in my way. And you can save that stuff for later for nymphs and stuff, like I'd mentioned in the other video. So now I just have something like this. Okay. And we want the concave side of the feather facing inward. Okay. Convex sticks out, concaved is in. I'm going to lick my fingers and just stroke all that together. And last time we wrapped back. This time we're going to wrap forward. So we want to start that bare stem, or you can even come up and just make sure you have feather up top, depending on how long you want it to be. You want to measure that out, right? So don't be afraid to just tie in all that plume. I want to get the length of the hook shank, transfer the distance. I want to put it on the far side. I'm going to do 1, 2 loose wraps over. And my third one I'm going to bring over and tighten down so that it's on the side just like so. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing with this other plume. This one's all wild and crazy. I'm going to do that off camera because it's just a little easier. I can do it a little faster. And there we go. Just about. Yep, I'm going to trim. You know, if you get this back part here and it just doesn't want to work with you, just trim that out. Okay. So, there we go. That'll work. Same thing. Convexed side facing in, or the curvature of the feather facing in towards the hook shank. I'm just wetting my fingers. And once you do the measurement on the first one on the far side, you can literally just kind of take the one that's closest to you and line it up. It just seems to be a little easier to work with that way, so you don't have a bunch of mess hanging out in front. And now I'm going to do the same thing, a loose wrap over twice. On the third one, I'm going to pull down tight, and I'm going to wrap this forward just a little bit, and I'm going to trim this stuff out. So that leaves our thread just a little bit behind the eye. Now you can actually fold those feathers over as well, so that you don't have to clean this up right here. But you do want to clean this up just a little bit. Okay, so next what you want to do is get a hackle. This is just a saddle hackle. And we don't need this to be super long. Okay, so here's the saddle hackle that I'm going to use. I'm trying to get it to where you can see it pretty well. And I'm just stroking all these feathers out, or all the barbulates out off the feather. Like so. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to see, when I do that, I want to turn it up on its side just to kind of get a gauge of how long those hackles or those barbulates will be. Because I don't want it to be, this is actually a pretty big hackle, and this is going to kind of come down quite a ways. So I'm working my way towards the stem. Probably a little bit longer than I actually want it, but that's alright. So what I want to do is I want to just kind of stroke it out just like that. Turn that around so I actually hold on to it. And we're going to cut the back side of this feather off. You want to give yourself probably 3 inches or so to wrap. There we go. And now we have something that looks similar to this. What I want to do here is I want to strip the back side of these barbulates off so that I have exposed stem. Okay, and I'm going to tie this in with that stem facing straight down like so. I'm just going to do a crossover wrap from the upper right to the lower left. I'm going to do 2 of those, and I'm going to probably do like 3 or 4 of these and start to tighten that as I go. Now normally if you're doing a dry fly or whatever, you're going to come back and do the opposite way. On these I don't want to do that. I just want to literally just wrap that stem in. Yep, my vise is shifting on me a little bit. Just kind of wrap those in, and now I can come in and just trim that stem out. And you know, actually what I'll do here is I'll take a dab of super glue and just, that's it, kind of glue it together. And I'm going to put a few more wraps in just so that it soaks all the way around. And we're going to kind of build up a little, build this up so there's no taper involved on this. This is a smaller jig head. And perfect. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take my hackle pliers. Maybe. And I'm going to start wrapping this forward. And you want to try to get this pretty close to where that marabou started. And each time, or each half time that you go around, you want to fold those feathers back and over so that they lean towards the back of the fly and shoot down. Oh. Start going the wrong way. There we go. There we go. Now pull it that way. And you want to try to get these somewhat tight. They don't have to be perfect, but you want to get them somewhat tight. And we're just going to wrap all this forward until I get to the end. I'm going to bring my thread, cross it over twice. I'm going to put a few in the front. If you trap some barbulets up front, don't worry about it. Let go with your hackle plier, draw everything to the back, and now just start wrapping this collar in. And we're just going to make a nice little white spot here. The idea here is to, at least for me, is to have your thread match the overall color of the head so that it kind of blends in together. And you can see as I did that, basically everything I just wrapped back just disappeared. You know, there's a couple sticking out there. So you can actually come in and trim these out. You can find this little stem part, get rid of it if you want. Again, this is a crappie jig. These are meant to be beat up and lost on the bottom of a lake, so don't get too crazy. And that's going to be really pretty much it. I'm just going to now take my thread, and I want to do my whip finish right behind the head there. So do a couple of 3, pull tight, probably do a couple 3, 4 more. There we go. Pull tight. Come in and trim out. On crappie jigs, I like to add just a dab of glue, just because they do, you know, they do get abused. So this is a pretty easy crappie jig. Now you have this loop in the back, and the same thing that we did last time is just stick your finger in there, or your bodkin, kind of determine how long you want your flash. On these guys, I actually like to extend my flash just a little bit longer since they're on the inside, because this is going to kind of be the little flash tail for basically a minnow. You can cut it at an angle, you can cut it straight, it doesn't really matter. Just like so. And there you go. That's just another little collared crappie jig. You can densely pack this hackle if you want to. You could use a dubbing loop and some, say, ice dub or something like that if you wanted to. I just kind of like the way this hackle looks. I like it sticking out, so as it's bouncing under the water, this flows back, it pops back open a little bit. Obviously, once it gets wet, it's not going to do it that much, or as it is right now. But when it gets wet, and you have a little collar there, then you kind of add some body color to the white, you know. And they're crappies, you know. They like yellow, fluorescent colors. You know what I mean? Geez, all kinds of stuff. So anyhow, there you go. There's another little crappie jig that's really super easy to do, and you know, and once you've learned how to do these and you tie 3 or 4 of them, you can probably knock these things out in about 2 minutes flat. You know, once you get good at it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, please give a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Please share the videos. Also, if you have not joined our Facebook group, it's Fly Tying for Beginners. So please join that. We have a lot of fun in the group. Yeah, make sure you answer the questions. If you decide to join the group, please answer the questions. That's the key to get in. If you don't answer the questions, we don't let you in. We want to make sure we're trying to do our due diligence to make sure that everybody's going to participate and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care and happy tying.